Hey guys, it's Wade, welcome. Today we've got the Hobbyking Bixler. Well, at least a part of it. What we're going to do is do a quick build. This is a plug and play version of the Hobbyking Bixler that everybody's talking about. We did a couple little lookovers, made sure this thing looks alright, and we're basically going to build it. Once we build it, then we're going to give you some tips during the build to kind of help you make this thing a little bit stronger. There are some weak areas, some things that need to be worked on, but it's really simple, especially if you've built an airplane before, to fix. So we'll go through those pieces and let you know what's going on. But basically, as we go through, I'll let you know, and let's get started. Alright, we're going to work on the wings first. So step one is basically to insert the carbon fiber rods right into this wing hole right there. Alright, now if you notice, and I'll hold this up so you can see, the wing, the little hole that's in the wing for the carbon fiber spar is kind of small. Now, we went through the internet, checked a couple things to make sure, see what people did, went through some forums, and they said that drilling out the hole would be probably one of the better options. Yeah, I would agree with it, but I don't really have a drill bit sitting around that long, and I'm kind of lazy, so what we devised was our own little way of fixing this, alright? So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take the original carbon fiber spar with a smaller carbon fiber spar, and we're going to do magic. Alright, and by magic I mean we're going to make this thing disappear. Oh, look at that. We're going to put it in, we're going to cut it to length, glue it together, and that thing is super rigid. Alright, so that's going to be our fix. I'm going to go ahead and put this in, cut it, and I'll glue it in place, and once we're done I'll show you what's going on. Alright, so you can see that I've snipped off the both ends and I've glued it so we have zero movement in there, and I mean this thing is rock solid. So for now I made sure that they fit into the wings. Alright, if you can see I made sure that they actually fit into the wings. I don't want to leave them in there just in case the glue is not done curing. So we're going to be done with the wings for right now, and we're going to move on to the actual body. So let me get these out of the way. Alright. Next, you notice that the body comes in two halves, okay? Two halves on the body. The first part we're going to worry about is the half without the motor on it. The reason I say that is because right here, it's going to be washers. Okay, I'll let you zoom in and see these washers. Alright, with these washers, we want to take them out. Okay, we want to make our own CG, or not our own CG, but we want to balance it our own way. And we don't really trust these, and they're only hot glued in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and cut them out with a hobby knife. After we're done cutting them out with a hobby knife, we're then going to install our ESC, which is right here. The reason we're going to install this ESC is because we're kind of worried about these wires that are down here. Alright, once we go ahead and run these wires, we don't have a lot of room to play with down there. And if we're going to put this whole piece onto the next piece, put the two halves together, then we're not going to have a lot of room to plug it in. So we're going to think ahead, we're going to be a little smart, and we're going to plug it in and just kind of throw it back here for now until we get, everything put back together. So I'm going to go ahead and try to take these washers out without killing myself or cutting my finger off, because we're not going to boil water, we're not going to do that crazy stuff, we're just going to cut it out because that's what we do. We just go straight forward. Alright, so let me go ahead and start that. Okay, so we've got the washers out. Now what I'm going to do, just to reinforce that in there, is I might actually throw a little bit of glue. I mean, it's a pretty thick area in there, so what I'm going to do is reinforce it with just a little bit of glue, probably later. In fact, you know what, I'm not even going to need to do that. So what I'm going to do now is install the ESC on the other side, after I get done dropping everything. I'll simply just plug in my ESC. Alright, let's see if you guys can see that here. Alright, plug in my ESC and kind of throw this back there just so it's out of the way. Got a little bit of cables. Alright, what that's going to allow me to do is go ahead and glue this bad boy together. Alright, so what we did, we went ahead and installed our ESC. We, just for the purpose of time, we're trying to keep this short. We don't want to kill anybody with boredom. But we ran the wires. Alright, our ESC should be set up fine. We've already checked to make sure the prop's on right, the motor's spinning the right way. It almost knocked it actually out of my hand at about half throttle, so I know we're doing good. We tested everything to make sure. The reason we're putting ESC in, like I said, is because it's not going to plug in very well once you get everything glued together. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do next. Now what I suggest literally is just run in some sandpaper all along the two surfaces. Now it doesn't have to be a lot, just enough to kind of rough it up. Alright. This is just something I've always done. It's a kind of a preference. And then we're going to utilize some foam safe CA. Alright. We're going to run a bead of our foam safe CA kind of all the way around this thing. Alright, don't worry, I'm not going to forget. I'm not going to forget the old tail. Alright, be pretty liberal with it. Just make sure you're getting in the little holes, because what we're going to do actually after we're done gluing it all down is we're actually going to go ahead and throw some more CA and some more tape just to reinforce this thing, and then also a carbon fiber rod. Alright, so if you want to, if you feel confident about your abilities, spray a little bit of activator on the surface that's going to be adhering to it, and then basically throw it right on top. Alright, make sure everything lines up nice and neat. Make sure your servo cables are out of the way. Give her a nice little squeeze. Make sure everything lines up. And you got yourself a fuselage. Alright. What we're going to do is kind of let this cure a little bit. Just let that CA glue kind of hold itself together, activate, if you will. And then we're going to check some of the areas and see if the CA actually made its way through. Like right here, you can see there's kind of a gap. We're going to fill that with CA, and then we're actually going to reinforce this a little bit later. So that's basically how you're going to put your body together, your fuselage. Make sure all of your wires are free and clear, good to go, coming out, not glued together. You definitely don't want to glue them together. And we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so you can see that we've got the fuselage all glued together. Now right here, you can see there's a groove. What we're going to put in this groove is our carbon fiber spar. The carbon fiber spar that we have is a little bit too long. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just kind of insert it. And then I'm going to get the pair of cutters, just basic wire cutters. Alright, and then I'm just going to go ahead and snip it right off. Now watch your eyes. I don't want to hurt anybody's eyes. God knows I could use all the help I can get because my eyeballs are hurting a little bit. And then that's just that. Now that I've got it all lined up, ready to go, what I'm going to do is throw some CA glue in there, glue our carbon spar together or in the little groove, and we should be good. Alright, so we've got ourselves some CA glue. So like I said before, we're going to go ahead and run a bead of our CA.
Foam safe CA.
Yeah, foam safe CA. Alright, we're going to run it all the way down the length. Foam safe CA down the groove. Next, what we're going to do, insert carbon fibre or fiber rod into the groove. Place down and run your finger across it, because what that's going to do is basically push the glue out. Alright, so we got the glue pushed out. Then we're going to go ahead and throw on some activator. Overkill. Verify that this stays down in there and let it dry. Now you can run some CA over top just to make sure, but we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna tape over top of it anyways, so that's that right there. Alright, so what we're gonna do now, we've got our carbon fiber rod glued in place. What we're gonna do is reinforce the bottom of it with some packing tape. If you look, we've got the Scotch's shipping tape. Alright, got our Scotch's shipping tape now. Just take a look and see, just make sure you can use whatever shipping tape you want, but we have good luck with this. It seems to rip the best and everything seems to work just fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this tape, okay, And we're going to measure the distance. Generally measuring for me is going to consist of measuring the length by eye. Alright, we're going to measure the length and we're going to lay our strip of packing tape. Alright. Alright, now if you have an extra set of hands, this could become helpful. Alright, so what I'm going to do is have my magic hands come in and help me. Alright, magic hands, if you could go ahead and hold that up. And then I'm just going to simply place the packing tape right along the fuselage, the bottom of the fuselage. Alright, and the purpose of this is going to give you some skid protection in the event that you want to belly land it, being as that this is only a belly lander. Alright. Basically, you're going to do your best to line this tape up. Alright, it's not going to be the most pretty, but the good news is she'll be protected for sure. Okay? Okay, just for purposes of beautification, what we're going to do is wrap our tape around this way, and then we're going to kind of roll a piece of tape around that way. And what we're going to do is use the clear packing tape so it's not so fugly whenever we're doing it. So just so you know, we're going to use the same kind of brand of Scotch shipping tape. Okay, in the nice pretty pink. Alright, we're going to use our Scotch shipping tape and we're just going to place it around there. So bear with me as I go ahead and place the tape on there and work with the nose of this. Alright, it's not going to be perfect, but hey, nothing's ever perfect. So I'm going to rip me a piece of tape off, and then if I could get my hands to come over here and hold that still for me. What I'm going to do is run this piece of tape literally just straight down the front of it like so and around. Okay, now not perfect, but what you can typically do is just kind of fold it down the best you can. If you want, you can get some scissors and cut it out. What that's going to do is just provide a lot of that reinforcement around the nose that you need. Alright, and we might go back and redo this later. Okay, so you can see here what we got done. We've reinforced the nose. Alright, moving on up, if you can see right here, actually above the motor mount, we've reinforced the motor mount. We just wrapped tape around it. We wrapped tape underneath it here. And then we also reinforced the skinny part, if you look right here, the skinny part of the actual top part of the fuselage, because that seems to be the smallest part, so we reinforced that with tape. Moving on, you see that we've got our packing tape under here, rib packing tape. We actually went ahead and wrapped packing tape all around this, and now you can see it doesn't flex whatsoever. I mean, I'm sitting there trying to bend it. Zero flex, which is good. Pretty rigid. You don't have to worry about it getting away in this servo control arms because, control arms because they are already in the tubes. So that is nice. Alright, so we've got everything reinforced and she's looking beautiful. Alright, so next what we're going to do is we're going to work on the tail section, and we're going to insert basically the tail section and a carbon fiber spar. Okay, here we go. Next, we've got our tail section. Hobbyking Bixler. Alright, if you notice, kind of flimsy, very, very soft. We've already worked in our control surfaces, so we're not really worried about that. What we're going to worry about next is inserting a carbon fiber rod, or in this case, it's just going to be like a flat panel. Alright, and I intend on actually just placing it literally right there. Okay, if you can see right there, I'm going to place it along the line. Now, what I did was I've already pre-cut my carbon fiber. I'm going to give it a nice little press. Alright, so you can see I'm going to give it a press, and what that's going to do, that's actually going to leave me a nice indentation right there. It's going to leave me a nice indentation where that carbon fiber spar was, and then I'm just going to cut out the foam with the hobby knife, and I'm going to get that to lay nice and flat up against the wing. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do that while you watch. Try to do my best to get this thing on there. Basically take my my hobby knife, carve this out. Alright, got that cut out. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay my carbon fiber spar right down in there, and that's what the final product really should look like. Now we got two options. You can either A, glue it on there, or you can B, tape it on there. I think for speed purposes what I'm going to do is just go ahead and tape it on there. And there you go. That's the quick down and dirty on how to install a carbon fiber spar. Now that wing is literally unbreakable. So we've installed the carbon fiber spar on the rear wing, and then we're going to go ahead and install it on the fuselage. Okay, so like I said, we've got our carbon fiber spar. Next what we're going to do is install our control horns. First things first, work in your control surfaces. Make sure they're nice and loose. Okay, ours are loose. I'm not going to tell you how loose because that would go way off topic. Alright, figure out which way your control rods are coming from. Whenever you figure out that, then you're going to use the flat side that you can see right up here. The flat side, right there. Okay, that flat side should be pointing basically towards where that control rod is coming from. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and install these with glue. First things first, throw a little bit of glue in the pre-done spot. Alright, glue, glue, glue. Looks good. You know what, a little bit more glue. Why not? More CA. Then what we're going to do is we're going to throw this on there, wherever it needs to go. Okay, it looks pretty easy, because it is. Alright, and then I'm going to have magic hands come in. Magic hands, see, I'm not using it. Ooh, third set of hands. They're going to come in and spray it. Thanks, magic hands. And we're going to let that CA cure. Next, repeat. Throw some glue on there. Oh, I'm too shaky. I need magic hands to do that for me. And then I'm going to put my control horn on again. Alright, control horn, you are on there. Magic hands. This third set of hands is actually awesome. Alright, thanks magic hands. Now we've got our control horns on and ready to go. So what I'm going to do is kind of let them cure for a little bit, just to make sure that if we hit them, no bad magic's going to happen. Alright. Oh, there we go. Hold on, one more. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Hold on, one more. Yeah, I just know you like seeing me do that. Alright, then what we're going to do is we're actually going to install the tail section onto the Bixler. This is about as simple as it's going to get. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and show you. There's a little tab on the front, just in case you can't see it, right there. That little tab is going to simply slide up underneath, right here, slide in and press down. Alright, and we're just doing a test fit right now. You can see how it slid in there. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to push this right up underneath, making sure that it sits down in there, and we've got our tail section. So we'll glue it in place, and as soon as we're done gluing it in place, we'll get with you. Alright, so as you can see, we've got half of our Bixler set up. I'm going to give you a couple little tips here. First of all, if you guys look, nice little control clevis. Alright, you want to take those off? Yeah, it was that easy. And you're going to pre-work in your control surfaces. The reason being is because they're extremely tight, and you're going to want to do this for all your control surfaces. Alright, I've worked it in nice and loose. Okay, and then we're going to reattach it. Alright, so once you reattach your control surface, maybe one day I'll get that. Reattach your control surface. Next what we're going to do is we're going to install it on the wing. Now this is kind of a pain in the butt, because as you can see down in there right next to that carbon fiber spar, and I'll go ahead and hold it up to you. As you can see right next to that carbon fiber spar, thanks magic hand, there's a little hole, and that's where your aileron servo leads are going to run through. Alright, and you can see what it's going to look like basically from the inside. That's why I have one of them done already. There's your servo lead going into that hole. Now once you get it into the hole, you're going to have to fish it out from down in there, which with the Bixler that's actually pretty nice, because they give you a little bit more room in the Bixler than things like your Hawk Sky or your AXN, whatever that thing is called. Floater jet or whatever. Who cares? But anyways, we're going to go ahead and install the wing. Alright, install the servo lead through the wing, and we'll get this thing hooked up. Alright, so we'll throw this in there. Remember, we've already pre-fitted that carbon fiber spar, so we don't have to worry about it not fitting, because we plan ahead. That's what we do. Ooh, I'm telling you. Alright, you're going to work that thing down in there as best you can until your wing pieces come together. Alright, now what I'm going to do that the wings are hooked together, I'm going to go inside, I'm going to fish out my servo lead. Once I fish out the servo lead, and I'll give you an example. Here is our receiver. We just plugged in the little Y harness because that Y harness is super short. We just plugged it into the receiver and we'll plug in the aileron leads into that instead of trying to fish both of them through at the same time. Alright, so we went ahead and installed the wings. One thing that I'm going to show you real quick, let me flip this bad boy over here, is as far as the wings are concerned on this nice little servo right here, these clevises we just went ahead and loosened, because what we're going to do is we're basically going to turn on the receiver, we're going to bind or turn on the transmitter, bind it to the receiver, we're going to let the servos center out. Alright, once they center out, then we're going to mechanically trim this so that these are pretty much even. Alright, and we'll make sure that everything's even. That way we have to do less electronic trimming once we're in the air. Alright, as far as the back is concerned, if you see right here, alright, if you look really closely, we used the Dubrow style quick connectors. Like I said, we left these nice and loose. Let me see if you can see that. See it moving alongside of the control rod. So basically we're going to let this servo and control rod center itself out once we bind it. Then we'll tighten this down once this is actually even, the elevator. And we're going to do the exact same thing with, let me see here, with the rudder. So this is loose, slides alongside the control rod. We're going to go ahead and bind everything, make sure everything's centered. Once it is, we'll lock everything down in place, throw some thread locker on there if we need to, and we should be good to go. Also, I'll mention that we are probably just going to go ahead and replace the prop. As you can see, the prop on there is not the best prop. We're going to replace it with a 6x4E. Make it go a little bit faster, a little bit more efficient. And we're going to be running a 2200 3S milliamp battery. So
that's 6x4E APC style.
yes, APC 6x4, and because I don't know how to talk, it'd be a 2200 milliamp 3S battery. Okay, so just because we were talking about it, we decided, you know, it would be nice, especially when I was a beginner, or even now, it'd be nice just to see somebody else do it to make sure I'm doing it okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through each of the servos, we're going to center them out, make sure everything works in the proper order, then we'll center them out mechanically, and then we should be good to go. So what I'm going to have my magic set of second hands do is I'm going to have him give me a little bit of left rudder, just to make sure it works. Okay, you can see the left rudder works just the way it should. Alright, go right rudder just to verify. Alright, now keep in mind, we don't have everything tightened back down. So what I'm going to do then is, you can see it's off a little bit. We're going to go ahead and we're going to center that. Alright, we visually look and make sure everything's centered. And then we're going to try to keep it as still as possible. And we're going to tighten down our connector. Alright, go ahead, left rudder again. Right rudder. Perfect. And you can see that it's centered about as good as it's going to get mechanically, and then we can fine tune it once it's in the air. Alright, let me flip this bad boy over without knocking the battery out here. Alright, set this bad boy down. Alright, and we're going to say give me, now keep in mind this is upside down, but go ahead and give me some up elevator. Alright, let me tighten it down just a little bit to see if that's going to work. Give me some up elevator. Yeah, that's going to do just fine. Give me down elevator. Alright, and then you can see that it's not quite even, so I'm going to even it up. Alright. Loosen this up for it. Alright, that looks pretty even to me. Crank her down. Oh, that's what the problem was. Our control arm was coming off. Wasn't quite cured yet. Okay. We'll glue that here in a little bit just to make sure we're good to go. So we've centered that one, and we're going to move on to the ailerons. Okie dokie. Now, he's going to give me some left aileron. All right, he gave me a little bit of left aileron, and you can see how it's not quite lined up right. We've got everything centered. You off the stick. Now what we're going to do is pop this off. Okay. Try to center this. It was up a little bit. You can see right here, this is actually pushed up a little bit like that. So what we're going to do with this portion itself is we're going to screw this clevis down a little bit. Okay, just give it a couple turns, reattach it, and you don't have to reattach it permanently. You'll see that that looks still up a little bit. So go ahead and take it out and repeat the process until we've got a nice even aileron. Alright, that looks a lot better now. Okay, we're going to repeat that with the other side. Also want to mention that these control horns come out really easy, so we're probably going to end up replacing them, seeing how they fare right now. So just so you know, they are a pain in the butt. So we'll go ahead and repeat that for the other side, and this thing should be mechanically trimmed out. Everything works, we've bound it, and we've built it. Alright, so as you can see, we got our Bixler on the CG machine. Now, this was actually really simple. What we did is we're using, like I said, the 2200 milliamp battery. It's a 3S battery. We placed the battery pretty much all the way forward, and that puts the CG at what the internet would say is about 70 millimeters. But if you really just want to be simple and easy about it, if you find that little panel that the carbon spar goes into the wing, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, you can see right here that it's actually nice and balanced out. I mean, I can touch it and it's going to rock around a bit. So CG is looking about perfect. But if you really want to see where the CG is, let me flip this around. Alright, if you really want to see where the CG is, alright, check this out. Right there, okay? Just put it right in the middle, and you can actually see there's a little divot on there. Right there. Little divots where the CG machine, we didn't even use little platforms or anything on the CG machine. But right in that general area, about halfway through that little panel, right where the carbon fiber spar is, and that's where your CG is going to be. So they said it's about 70 millimeters, but just go with right there if you're going to use a 2200 milliamp battery. So just a little bit of additional information on that, and it looks like it balances out perfect. Now I can't wait to go fly it.